Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. My name is Gab, and I'm here with my cousin and co host.
Dylan.
And today we are talking about a movie that I have nominated as one to watch before you die. This is a movie musical, though not much like some we've done in the past. This movie is from 2001, starring Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman, and it is called Moulin Rouge. Dylan, hit it. Sing the
What?
song. Hey, sister soul, sister
Oh
soul.
God, no.
You
Which
don't
I
want to
thought
sing
that
that
was
song?
going to be featured more prominently in here.
I mean, it had a moment. What do they need to do? Beat you over the head with it? Do you like that song? If that song comes on the radio, do you keep it on or do you change it?
I think it kind of depends on my mood, but I'd probably leave it on. I lean more towards leaving it on.
Whenever it comes on, I tend to be a little bit like, oh God, this again. And then within like 30 to 45 seconds, I'm like, ah, fuck, all right, fine. It's a good
You guys
song.
can't see it, but Gab is just motioning her shoulders back and forth. So it looks like the rhythm just takes control of her within 30 seconds is what she's saying.
Yeah. You know, you can't deny it. It's a good
Yeah,
one. Dylan, you had never seen this movie before, correct?
absolutely not. You've
I
introduced me
just
to
don't
two
know
Baz
how.
Luhrmann movies.
Yeah, how did you avoid this? I feel like it was a cultural phenomenon.
Easily, Gab, because this movie came out in the year 2001. At 9 years old, do you think that I was watching Moulin Rouge?
Okay, fine. But I wasn't. I feel like I didn't watch this until high school.
To be fair, I saw the hell out of Chicago. That's just another random musical I'm throwing out there, but
Yeah. All right. I was surprised that at no point in your adult life had you stumbled across this movie. I feel like a lot of people find it a little bit later. I mean, A, it's Baz Luhrmann. B, that song was so prominent in culture. And then also, like, it's just kind of an easy watch. And I mean, I gotta be honest with you, off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't know if it won any awards, but I feel like it was um, like a big one. Am I? You'll have to tell me later if I'm
perhaps
wrong.
one of us has prepared some sort of facts about that.
Yeah, you know I just watched the movie and show up.
Must be nice.
So it's delightful. I love it. Okay, so cool. Dylan, why don't you tell everybody what this movie is about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
The Moulin Rouge is about Obi-Wan Kenobi and Aquaman's mother, and she's a whore, and they're putting on a show because Dracula from Van Helsing actually is the one who wants Aquaman's mother. All right, the actual version. Ewan McGregor's character Christian is in love with Satine, who they keep calling a courtesan, which is a very nice way of saying she's a whore. A whore, as they like to say on The Sopranos.
Hooer.
A whore. Number one, she was a whore. And he falls in love with Satine, who has to convince the Duke, who is there to invest in Moulin Rouge, in their stage show, in their club, to keep it going. So it sort of becomes them having this secret love flourishing while the Duke is trying to also court her.
It feels a lot like a can prostitution Romeo and Juliet.
Okay, I'll take that.
You know.
Sure.
What does IMDb say?
Okay, according to IMDb, a poor bohemian poet in 1890s Paris falls for a beautiful courtesan and nightclub star, coveted by a jealous duke.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. Did you have any idea going in what this was about?
I knew it was a romantic movie. Other than that, I knew nothing. In fact, I didn't even realize it was a jukebox musical. And then I was like,
Oh, don't be so down.
I wasn't excited for the jukebox musical. That doesn't say how I felt coming out of it, but I wasn't excited like, oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good use of terminology, jukebox
Thank
musical. Do
you.
you want to tell the people what that means?
It's a musical that uses songs that are popular in our outside world. So it uses songs like Wings' Silly Love Songs or Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana is in here at some point. And I wrote down
Yeah.
other ones that were in there, but just a bunch of songs that you would actually
Your
know
song,
already.
Elton John.
Yeah, Material Girl, just things that
Hmm.
show like a Virgin. They just show up in here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they fit the story.
Okay, fabulous. Taglines?
Oh, Gab, this has so many taglines.
Oh, geez. Just narrow it down for me. I don't have the
I'm
patience.
giving you every single one of them. Are you ready?
Yes.
No laws, no limits, one rule, never fall in love.
That I don't understand.
I feel like the rule of three says you got to cut one of those things out. Just do no
Yeah.
laws, no limits, never fall in love, or No laws, one rule, never fall in love. Like
But also, why are there no laws?
in Moulin Rouge, I don't know. They're just waving guns around. Spoilers.
Oh, I suppose. I guess they say that like it's like a an area of Paris that is like riddled with sin or whatever they say. Okay, fine. Next.
Now they have these as three separate ones, so I'm going to say them separately. This story is about truth. This story is about beauty. This story is about freedom. And then the fourth one. Above all things, this story is about love. I can imagine that as like four separate character posters.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense on IMDb seeing them as taglines, but whatever.
Yeah. But obviously, like truth, beauty, freedom, love is like a concept that comes up a couple of times.
You just said the next tagline, Gab.
Oh, great. Look at me. All right, you can skip that one then. What's next?
Club Moulin Rouge, an experience you won't forget.
I don't like that they say Club Moulin Rouge. It's like we get it. Like I can like conceptualize what it is.
Yeah. Also, yeah, just say Moulin Rouge, an experience you won't forget. Or just say an experience
Yeah.
you won't forget.
Yeah.
Keep it snappy.
Yeah.
The show must go on.
Sure.
Nah. That could have been about Air Bud.
Okay.
The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
Very nice.
Every man wanted her, but one man dared to love her. The Duke.
I mean, whatever. Yeah.
Believe in truth, beauty, freedom, and above all things, love.
Sure.
This is a story about, all caps, love. Music is the food of all caps, love. Nothing matters but all caps, love.
How many more of these?
3 more. Come and get me, boys.
Oh. I like when you say it.
It's got an exclamation point on it. Come and get me, boys. This story is about love, overcoming all obstacles. And last one, you made it. He entered in a world where fantasies are real.
I don't hate that one. I definitely don't like a tagline that starts with "this story is about." It's like a little derivative, no?
Every single one of these is pretty weak to me. Like, I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, just go with like truth, beauty, freedom, love. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're all fine.
Okay, I want to move on from this. I don't necessarily want to give a whole lot of context because there really isn't a ton. Really, all you need to know is that Christian moves to this area of Paris as a bohemian in hopes of being able to express himself in art, right? And so, in doing so, he meets a group of theater people who are putting on a show, and he adds to the writing of this show and very quickly becomes an integral part. They are putting the show on at the Moulin Rouge, and as he's there, he is in need of seducing Satine, who is the star of the Moulin Rouge, in order to get her to help get the owner of the Moulin Rouge to agree to put this show on. There's a little bit of an identity mix-up where Satine is told by the owner she needs to seduce the Duke because he is going to invest in the club to help them turn it from a nightclub into an actual theater. And he keeps using the classic line, "We're going to make you a star. If you can sleep with the Duke and get him to invest, you'll be a real actress and not a courtesan." So, in the mistaken identity, she ends up with Christian, seducing him, thinking he's the Duke. They end up falling in love, realize that they are not, Christian is not who she believes he is. The Duke comes in, it's a little bit of a chaotic crisis. So she has to seduce the Duke, even though she is now in love with this writer. They get the show put on. The Duke finds out that she's in love with Christian. It's a little bit of a mess. And, oh, by the way, Satine's got tuberc.
Did you just shorten tuberculosis to tubercs?
She got the burk.
She got tuberc. A nasty case of tuberc.
Yeah, she does. She's got tuberc. So it ain't looking good. And then, spoiler, at the end, she dies.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like you skipped over a lot to spoil that piece, but okay.
Well, let's get into it. I'm just saying that like this isn't like there's not a whole lot of subtext here. That's the story.
Yeah.
Anything major that you want to add before we just move right into the opinions?
Opinions, let's do it.
In this critic's opinion,
That's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
My first opinion was I wrote down at some point it says a courtesan who sold her love to men. And I just wrote You mean a whore? A prostitution? A woman of the night? A hooker?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, why can't we just, let's be real with it. Like,
Is courtesan a French word? Is that like the French name for it?
I don't know. I didn't just Google that, but I just wanted Christian to go up there and she's just like wipe it off her lip. Like, hey, like,
Oh God. I'll
too
tell
much?
you what,
That's
if
too
there's
far?
one word that survived this movie in my household, it was Maharaja.
Yeah, I do like, and that's something they do a lot in this. Christian is writing the show that they're going to be putting on at the Moulin Rouge, and the show is very much just like the show is telling you within the movie is what's happening in the movie, and I always find that to be a fun concept.
Yeah. Yeah, so the show that they're writing has a courtesan fall in love with like a lowly sitar player.
Yes,
And even though she is supposed to be marrying the wealthy Maharaja. And of course, the Duke wants her to end up with the Maharaja in the end. And she and the rest of the staff believe that she should end up with the sitar player. And
I don't think he even feels that way, the Duke, until I don't even remember what this character. I don't even think has a name. I think she just shows up to be a dick multiple
yeah.
times because she shows up and literally just whispers to the Duke, well, you're the Maharaja, right? He's like, you suck, right?
I appreciate that. It has elements of Hamlet in that way, right? Like isn't Hamlet isn't there a play within the play that they're putting on to like
I think so, but
indicate that they know that he killed the king?
yeah, I think so. But it's also it's kind of like a trope of putting on performances in general that they're going to reflect what's actually going on
Sure.
when you do a
Yeah.
movie within a movie or whatever.
I just wanted to sound intelligent for a moment, and you took that from
We
me, so
failed
thank
at
you for
that,
that.
yeah.
Now, in The Lion King, the play within the play is when Timon puts on the hula skirt and sings the song.
If you sing "I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts" again,
No,
you're
no,
gonna
no,
lose
I
my
won't. I
goddamn
promise.
mind. Okay,
I won't. I promise. Moving on. So, okay, so that, yeah, there were a couple of words in this that really made it. So, tuberk, somebody starts coughing. I'm like, oof, they got the tuberk. And
coughing blood, the
Maharaja.
sure sign of you're gonna die.
Yeah. Oh, coughing up blood. That is not good. I've been getting a lot of bloody noses lately. Do you think that's like something I should be concerned about?
As long as you don't cough that blood up, you're fine.
Okay, good. Great. Thank you. Um,
They call 1899 the summer of love in this. Can we just call any summer the summer of love? Is that like saying the year of our Lord? Is that just a thing I didn't realize?
I think so. I think it's like meant to be a little bit of like a tongue-in-cheek reference because very soon thereafter, don't they sing a song like from the 60s or 70s or whatever the Summer of Love was? Isn't that like what they're referring to?
I believe the summer of love is 1969. I don't know. Maybe I didn't write down what the very first song was. Oh, Sound of Music is the first song they sang.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, fuck that then. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit of like a hee hee.
I have a note here that just says, "Oh no, jukebox musical. Oh no."
I am so sad that you are so turned off by a jukebox musical. Would you prefer it to have been a musical with all original music you didn't know?
I definitely think I prefer that to a jukebox musical in general.
Why?
I think usually it tells me more definitively this was written for these characters. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
it feels more specific. It feels more intentful.
You know what jukebox musical I hate?
What?
Mamma Mia.
Here you go again. What about
hate
Mamma
it.
Mia? Honestly, I hate 99% of ABBA songs. There's two ABBA songs I love. Hate 99%.
I'm shocked I didn't know that about you. Why?
I don't dig it. Dancing Queen, quite frankly, is if I hear it, I will be upset because it's like the Cars for Kids song that's gonna get stuck in my head. I'm gonna be pissed at it because I don't
Yeah,
like
I
it.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember when we were young, there were the A-teens? They were like a group of teenagers that sang ABBA covers, basically.
Yes, and I think I hated them as well.
That makes sense. They recently came back and like put on a performance somewhere in Europe, and it was like they were definitely the like A adults at this point.
I was gonna say, who asked for that?
Yeah, nobody. Okay, great. Okay, so not a big fan of the jukebox musical. That's fine. It's funny. I've never really considered it a jukebox musical because it was a movie. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about this, I'm sure, but it is currently on Broadway as a musical, right? Which that I would call a jukebox musical. But because it's a movie, it never really occurred to me to call it that. But I guess that makes total sense. I
To me,
don't.
like my mind immediately linked this with Across the Universe to an extent. And it was also just
Yeah.
like the visual flair that it had going for it. They paired together in my mind. And,
Yeah,
you know,
that makes
they're
sense.
not the same, obviously. I think Baz Luhrmann has a lot of style going for him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I loved in the beginning that it's kind of weird looking. I don't know if I love the way it looks or hate the way it looks, but this zoom through Paris that we
Paris,
have,
yeah.
like I can tell it's obvious, you know, it's not going for a realistic look. I can't tell if I love it or hate it, but it's a bold choice, and I think I appreciate that. I will say when they started doing Smells Like Teen Spirit, I was like, I'm gonna be hard out, aren't I? I'm gonna fucking hate this, aren't I? And I will say that feeling did not last. It got me back. I won't say which way I'm leaning or not leaning,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it came back from that had me real low on the totem pole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. It's funny. After that shot of like sailing through Paris, when we do finally enter the Moulin Rouge,
Mhm.
in the beginning, I always put the captions on these movies when we're watching it for the podcast, just because I like to make sure I'm like fully grasping what's being said, that I'm not missing anything. And I'm not a captions on TV person in general, but at some point I was like, the captions can't be on this movie because so much is happening visually. I can't be looking at the words. Like there are scenes in the Moulin Rouge where we're cutting and reframing so quickly that it's almost dizzying.
I love my captions, Gav. I can't hear without my captions.
I know. I know. It helps me absorb.
Although at the same
Um,
time, sometimes I like if I'm watching something for the first time, I try and watch it without the captions because I'm like, if I went and saw this in the movie theater, I wouldn't have the captions there. You know what I mean? I would
yeah.
just be absorbing the picture to the
Yeah.
best of my
Yeah.
ability.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, I will say this. Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman do their own singing,
Yeah,
and I do think that it's pretty impressive, but Ewan McGregor, I did not enjoy his singing voice.
I was about to say the opposite. I think he does a really good job
Oh,
for somebody
okay.
who's definitely he's not a singer. I don't think he does any other musicals than this that
Yeah.
I'm aware of. So I was like,
No.
good on you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm trying not to jump too far ahead here. I think my favorite part of this is when they are trying to convince the Duke that the show needs to run and they're putting on like a mini performance for him. Do you know what I'm talking
When they're doing
about?
their initial sales pitch to him, and they're
Yes.
I can't remember what the song is, but it'll run for 50 years. That whole
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
It's the Can song. It's like dun
yes.
dun dun dun. It'll run for 50 years. Bum 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 bum. And they're doing a lot of like silly stuff that I think is really really funny. I think that's the probably the peak of this movie for me.
Yeah. I also really enjoy the fact that very early on, it says something that's going to be so important, something that is, you know, it's one of those setups and payoff type things. I think it's just when she's talking to the owner of the Moulin Rouge, and oh no, this is when she's first talking to Christian. And Christian says, "Do you really love me?" And she says, "I'm a courtesan. I'm paid to make men believe what they want to believe." And I think that's a big thing to know in the movie. You know what I mean? That's going to have important ramifications. Put a star on that one. You know,
Yeah.
out of context, I feel like it's going to sound bad. I really liked the Duke, and what I mean by that is I really liked the performance. He honestly was probably my favorite character. Like every time he was on screen, I was like, "What is this motherfucker going to do?"
Yeah.
Because the moment that like it sealed for me that he was my favorite is he at some point he agrees to invest, but he's not going to invest without some kind of collateral. So his collateral is that he'll like own the entire club. He'll own Satine basically. And he says something, "I'm not a jealous man." And he just, you know, I feel like I'm about to blow out the microphone. He goes, "I'm not a jealous man. I just don't like other people touching my things." And I was like, whoa, okay. I was like, I get him. I got him. Okay.
Yeah. How do you feel about the owner of the club?
Uh, you know, he's a pimp and I respect
But
that.
like performance wise.
I really like that actor. We've seen him
Yeah,
in
me too.
another movie that we've reviewed on this podcast.
We have what movie?
Mhm. You'd have to go all the way back to what I think was our second episode or maybe our third episode. He was the police chief from Hot Fuzz.
Oh my God, is he British?
He's super British.
Wow, interesting.
Jim
You know what's
Broadbent.
funny? I had a client at some point, a personal training client, who looked just like him, like uncanny. And I can't think of that nice man's name. He was
I
great. I really loved him.
I cannot think of this actor without hearing in my head, but he had one thing you'll never have. A great big bushy beard. Like every time I just hear that line.
That's
But
great.
yeah, I like him in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he did a really
He
good
does a
job.
lot of his own singing too. There's one time where it's like operatic, and I'm like, that's not you. But for the most part, it was him.
Yeah. I generally am not a huge Nicole Kidman fan.
Same.
I don't hate her in this, but I think if we could maybe recast her, it wouldn't break my heart.
Who would you recast her with, Gab?
Are we talking in 2001 or are we talking today?
Either. Why? Did somebody come to your mind from one or the other?
Corey and I very recently had a conversation about these two, so I feel a little bit like that's the reason that they're in my head. But I think 2001, I probably would have gone Natalie Portman.
Okay.
And I think now I would go Margot Robbie.
Ooh, okay. And I would go Adele Dazeem.
Of course. Yeah, so that everything sounded like Frozen.
Yeah.
Speaking of, very briefly, the last 5 years on Broadway was unfucking believable. I know what you just did. Everyone, Dylan muted himself so that I couldn't hear him farting. Okay. He was so satisfied with himself to mute and then unmute.
You
And
motherfucker.
I mean, just, it's
Tell me
fine.
about the last 5 years, goddammit.
Dylan, it was amazing. Corey went in like, oh God, I didn't like this movie. I'm not really going to give a shit about this. And literally, as soon as we stood up, he went, that was amazing. I sobbed from beginning to end. We really should go.
Well, I'm down to go. I'm sure that I'll probably end up liking it more than I did the movie.
You will.
Thing I noticed in the movie, by the way, in this
Yeah.
movie,
Uh-huh.
first I was like, Nicole Kidman's eyes are so blue. And then there's another scene. I think it's the scene where, they're first singing together, singing your song and the different medley of songs on the elephant. When Ewan McGregor, at some point you see his eyes, and I was like, oh my God, Ewan McGregor has the bluest eyes I've ever seen. Like, I was like, holy shit. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about Baz Luhrmann?
Having only seen 2 movies of his, I can say he is a very visual director. You know what I mean? Like, I was about to compare him to Zack Snyder, which not at all in terms of quality or tone am I saying that, but in terms of the focus is not on the like story direction as much as it is on here's what I want to do visually. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And do you like that, or is that like not important to you?
It's generally not my bag. You know what I mean? My first, like, I'd rather have a movie that's just shot, reverse shot, master shot, but the story blows me away than that looked pretty, but I took nothing from it.
Now, did we say that Gatsby was a movie to watch before you die?
We did. It was the softest of approvals, but it was approved.
Okay, okay. I'm just checking. Now, we do have to discuss the elephant in the room here. The elephant not
Fuck
being
you,
the literal
Gab. You point out
elephant.
my fault. You called me an elephant.
It sounded like an elephant. I don't know, but based on the satisfaction on your face. Let's talk about John Leguizamo in this movie.
What do you want to say about John Leguizamo plays Toulouse, who is a little person in the movie, and all I have to ask is why?
Why? Why? First of all,
His
they gave him a
performance is
speech
fine.
impediment. That was annoying to me. How did you feel about his speech impediment?
It was fine. Like, it was clearly the choice he made, and I'm okay with that. He doesn't give a bad performance. Like, it's not like he's, oh my God, he's so laughably bad and he's dragging the movie down. But it's just like, why? Why for all of
Why
it?
couldn't he have just been an average sized man? And then also, how did they do it?
Perhaps somebody will have something to say about that. It'd be
Oh,
really
good,
funny if I
because
just set up facts that I don't have.
you don't have them. It did remind me of when we were kids and we used to do the Lollipop Guild thing. You know what I'm talking about?
You just put your knees in your shoes. Yep.
Yeah, put your knees in your shoes and you represent the Lollipop Guild. That's kind of coming into this. That's how I assume they did it, but you'll have to tell me. I just didn't like looking back on this film. I should have mentioned I hadn't seen this movie since high school. Like it had been a very long time. So I was like, oh, I forgot about this. The whole thing just felt very strange. And I remember watching it and thinking like, This is very strange. Why is this happening?
I think there's a couple times where I probably felt that way, and there's some songs that in general I just don't like. Like they started doing U2 at one point, and I was like, no, not U2. Like,
What do you got against U2 besides the fact that they absolutely fucking violated my civil rights by putting that album on my phone?
honestly, maybe one song ever that I've liked by U2. I do not like U2. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere,
I don't like them either. I wonder if it's genetic. I will say a complaint that I have about this movie is that it drags in the middle.
which is the worst place to track.
Yeah, I know that's not true. Sometimes dragging at the end is like just pinch it off already. But
That's true.
dragging in the middle, I felt a little bit like if we had gotten to where we were trying to go a little faster, it maybe would have been okay. I think the Like a Virgin song did not need to be there.
I, you know, it's interesting because I took note of that. I was like, I don't like the men talking about it like this, but I think that's the point is the fact that it's the Duke and the I feel bad at not knowing what to call him. The Moulin Rouge owner, the pimp. Like it's the two of
He
them.
had a name.
Harold Zidler or something Zidler.
Harold Zidler, yeah.
Okay. It's the two of them just discussing Satine. So I think it's supposed to feel gross, which in a way it does. But yeah, you could probably get rid of it. But quite frankly, for the Duke to be the bad guy, we need some Duke time. And like without that, you really don't have that much.
Yeah.
Can,
Okay, that's
can I
fine.
can I tell you something I wrote down?
Yes.
Because you were calling it the Tuberks, I had written down at one point, call Satine Little Wing because this bitch wheezy.
That's terrible. Corey's gonna love that. Um, I remembered this movie being a lot more romantic. And I think something that loses me a bit in movies like this is that there's just this like supposition that two people can meet and just fall in love.
30
Just
seconds. They
be
were
in
like,
love.
fucking love you, man. Like they
Yep,
were just
I love
there.
you.
Yeah.
And you can like I understand the concept of like love at first sight or like infatuation at first sight or like a meet cute where you're like, "Oh, this is my person." Okay, fine. But like we went into a room, she did a lot of weird sexual things that seemed a little out of context, and now I'm in love.
But that's the thing about movies too, is we need it to happen snappy. We don't have several seasons to build it up. You know, when
Yeah.
you watch a TV show, they can build up to the point that it feels genuine by the time we get to love. In a movie, you need it like it's got to be quick. So yes, love at first sight, it happens. You know, I can
Yeah.
forgive that. The concept of romance in movies is built on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I definitely felt like it dragged a little bit. I think that it wasn't as romantic as I remembered.
Yeah. I do really like the use of the line. It is romantic if you can forgive that initial romance. You know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
romantic that it's this hidden love that they have to keep hiding from the Duke, that they have to keep working on the play when she's supposed to be with the Duke because they want to spend more time together, which at one point it was just cruel. I can't remember what she said. She says to Christian, we'll work on it tonight until I'm completely satisfied. And I wrote, damn, right in front of the Duke. I was like, God damn.
I thought that was great. Or they're like, there was a moment where he said, like, we need to discuss whether or not the courtesan will be with the sitar player in the evening. And she was like, she will definitely be with the sitar player this evening. And it was a little
Like,
heavy-handed in
I
all the
was going
right
to
ways.
say, the Duke is clearly not paying that much attention because they were not being subtle. They were like, the sitar player's trying to, get frisky with the courtesan.
The thing that I keep coming back to is Maharaja. I've never heard this word before, but also, isn't the name of the tiger in Aladdin Raja? Don't they talk about, oh, he's the Sultan, the
Yeah.
dad. I've never heard the word Maharaja.
I've definitely heard it before.
Corey and I continue to refer to ourselves as the Maharaja.
You're both the Maharajas? There can only be
Yeah.
one Maharaja.
No, we're like, they can't fuck with us. We're the Maharajas.
Oh, so
They're the
the two of
sitar
you together
players.
are one Maharaja. You're
No,
associating
we're each a
yourself
Maharaja.
with the villain.
Do you think
Okay.
we could name our son Maharaja?
I don't think you can get away with it.
Okay. Now, my next and final question.
I'm barely a sitar, though, over here.
Yeah, honestly. My next and final question is this. Corey and I are to be wed. I will be taking his last name, which is,
Maharaja.
can I say it on the podcast?
What
Is
do you
this
mean?
kosher?
It's up to you.
We've said your last name before. Easily. So my question for you, Dylan, and please chime in, listeners. Should we be the Black-Eyed Peasleys or should we be the Chuck E. Cheeseleys?
Black Eyed Peasleys. Gotta go with
Okay,
Black Eyed Peasleys. That one
I
got
think
me
so too.
immediately.
The Black-Eyed Peasleys. Okay, thank you. Anyway, do you have anything else you want to say about this before we move on?
About the Black Eyed Peasleys specifically?
No, 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 no. We'll talk about that offline.
Okay. I just wanted to bring up, I really like the setup of on opening night, I have to sleep with the Duke, and the jealousy will drive you mad. Like I love not saying like it's gonna make you crazy, but I love the version of saying it as this will drive you utterly mad. And then I love like 5 minutes later, he's like, I don't want you to sleep with him. And I wrote bro 5 minutes earlier. I won't be driven mad with jealousy. Like I'm like, you motherfucker, like immediately.
Yeah, he doesn't last very long.
No.
Last thing I want to say, I think, is there's a plot point that we haven't mentioned yet where the Duke knows unequivocally about Christian and Satine. And so he has instructed his henchman, I guess, to
His
kill him.
manservant, he calls him at one point.
Oh, his manservant, yes.
Which
To-
I don't know how you live with yourself with the title of what do you do for work? I'm a manservant.
Well, it does beg the question, are most servants women?
I don't know, but I don't think they're referred to as women servants and manservants. Call me your
Yeah,
assistant. Call me your henchman, your goon.
Yeah.
Manservant?
Manservant is rough. Do you think that there are hitmen out there who would not accept a job if they were referred to as manservant?
Absolutely. I think they kill you.
True, okay.
Yeah.
So the Duke has decided that if Christian does not leave this part of Paris immediately, he will have him killed. And so the owner of the Moulin Rouge tells Satine, you need to tell Christian that you don't love him. You need to save his life. Oh, by the way, you're dying. So it's not even worth it in the long run. Like if you're about to die, this guy is going to die if you don't protect him. So just lie to him and get him out of here. And so she obviously has this. Obviously, she's a little upset that she just found out she ain't going to make it through the night. I mean, Jesus Christ, Taberk, you're dead by Christmas. Like, she's got like business to attend to before she's out of here. So she's a little upset to hear about that.
Is she Tiny Tim now? She's not going to make it to Christmas?
we
And
recently
Satine, who did not die.
we recently were talking to this guy at the gym and he was like, so and so, yeah, something about some kind of cancer. I don't even remember what kind of cancer it was, but he was like, yeah, I mean, you get that, you're dead by Christmas. We
Oh
just
my
thought that
God.
was so funny. But anyway, she is obviously upset that she finds out that her life is about to end. But additionally, she's upset because she doesn't get to spend the last moments of it with the person she loves, and she has to devastate him, and that's kind of, how her story ends. And so she tries, and Christian doesn't really believe her, and neither does John Leguizamo as the random little person who is involved in this. And the two of them kind of team up to get them together for one last time. He is not murdered by the manservant, but Satine does unfortunately succumb to her tuberc.
She does. Gab, I'm looking through my notes. Can you tell me when and why I wrote this? I think it's because Sidler said she had to be with the Duke or something, but I think I loved the rhyme. She cradled the Duke's balls in order to save us all. Why did I write that?
I don't know, Dylan. What extracurriculars were you partaking in while you watched this movie?
Was that not on Moulin Rouge? Was I on a different version of the movie?
Yeah.
She had to save the club. You don't remember that scene where there was like 4 Dukes?
I think that was the dream you had afterwards.
No, I know, I can tell you what point it is in the movie because right afterwards I wrote, "Oh no, not Roxanne."
You don't like Roxanne?
It's literally one of my favorite songs, and I think
Oh,
I
good.
just like, don't you do it? You know what I mean? Because you're not going to do the
Yeah.
version I want you to.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the Fall Out Boy cover of Roxanne?
No, but I'm pretty sure I won't like it.
Okay.
I will say, it's very rare, but there are some times where I do like a cover better. It's rare. I don't know if you know the band Saint Motel. They do a cover of a Daft Punk song called "Something About Us," and I'm like, holy shit, this version's way better. It's rare.
I have
Though.
no idea.
Johnny Cash cover of Hurt. Better. You don't know the song
He's not
Hurt?
the original singer?
No, it's 9 Inch Nails originally.
Really?
And you know what? Your Song by Elton John, not really a fan of. But you know what? It caught on to me in the movie. I got it. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay, I like this. This is nice.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I also wrote at some point that this whole movie kind of looks like the Evanescence video for Wake Me Up, and I want Satine to be like, Wake me up!
Wake me up inside.
Can't wake up!
I got that album and was like, I am goth now.
Doesn't it kind of look like that when it's like zooming through like the Paris cityscape at times?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I see it. I feel it in my bones. Okay. That's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah. I also just like when they drop the pretense at some point and Christian is just like, you're a whore. Here's some money.
Oh, yeah. He kind of goes through all the stages of grief, right? He's like anger, and then he's like, oh God, what's the next one? Bargaining, and it really happens very quickly.
Forgetting.
Yeah. It's a little, it almost reminds me a little bit of the end of Black Swan.
You think? Because it's not like she gave it all to her art. You know what I mean?
No. I just mean like they're on the stage and she dies.
Oh, well, then yes, it is just like Black Swan.
It's exactly like that.
Same
Okay.
movie.
Yeah, what a coincidence. I really want to get to the facts because I have so many questions that I hope you answer.
Okay. Last thing I'm going to mention that was just crazy to me, though, is when the gun flies out of the Duke's hand and goes out a window and flies somehow to the top of the Eiffel Tower and bounces off of there. And I was like, that was a choice. Okay.
It like doinks off the Eiffel Tower.
It does
I also
it
think
looks
it's
like
an
a field
interesting
goal when you
choice.
kick the field goal and it's like, oh, off the off the turnpost or whatever.
I also think it's a really interesting choice that the moon ends up singing at some point, and he's kind of like the pizza guy.
I kind of thought that was a reference to there's like a movie, I think it's a French movie too, from like 1902 called A Trip to the Moon. It's like one of the first movies ever made.
Yes, I'm familiar.
You might have seen that clip where the moon gets hit like in the eyeball with the rocket ship. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wanna be educated.
That means it's fact time.
I want the truth!
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter, it has 75%, an average rating of 7.1 out of 10, 194 fresh reviews, 66 rotten. Audience score of 89%, average score of 4.3 out of 5. IMDb, it has a 7.6 out of 10. It had a budget of $50 million, and it grossed $185 million.
Oh.
The critics' consensus: a love it or hate it experience, Moulin Rouge is all style, all giddy, over-the-top spectacle, but it's also daring in its vision and wildly original. Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 stars, which I feel like he's just given. Maybe I'm not remembering this right, but I feel like it's been like 3 straight movies where I'm like, Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 stars. Roger Ebert, I think at some point was just like phoning them in, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he was like, it was a movie, and I watched it.
He's like, money, please.
He was like, I didn't die in this one.
Oh,
He was old, right? He died of old age. It was nothing wrong with
he
him.
died from cancer.
Oh, but he was old, right?
I don't know. What's the appropriate age to get cancer, Gav?
No, there is none.
Jesus.
I'm just suggesting that once, like my grandpa always says, I don't buy green bananas. It's like at some point you're like, oh, I made it through another day, you know?
He was 70.
Oh, okay. So then I'm sorry. That was in poor taste, Roger.
He gave it 3.5 stars. He would have given it 4, but he said, fuck you, Gab. The movie is more like the Moulin Rouge of my adolescent fantasies than the real Moulin Rouge ever could be. Terry Lawson from the Detroit Free Press: what pleasure Moulin Rouge produces must be weighed against brain cells sacrificed to such experimentation.
Oh.
Kenneth Duran from the LA Times: you can go with it or resist it, be exhilarated or worn out, but forgetting the experience is not one of your options. Mike Clark from USA Today: feels as if a dump truck has buried moviegoers in confetti and glitter for 2 hours.
Oh my God. Okay.
Some polarizing options there.
Yeah.
We got some letterbox reviews. This one is from Scoobert Dew. I truly believe that Nicole Kidman rolling around on the floor wrapped in a fur blanket and pretending to be getting off on poetry is why cinema was invented.
Okay.
I will say during that scene, I was like, I just want to see her react this way to everything. Like the weather outside is 74, and oh my god. Mia Lee Vicino. Sometimes I lay awake at night thinking about how if Mr. Brightside had come out just 2 years earlier, it would have fit perfectly for Ewan's envious rage scenes. No shade to Tango Roxanne, you rule, but can you imagine an overdramatic vaudevillian rendition of Mr. Brightside? Ewan absolutely screams sobbing about jealousy, turning saints into the sea. I'm building a time and space augmentation device as we speak.
I could not agree with that more. And at some point, I actually thought to myself, Mr. Brightside is in this, right?
It would so fit the vibe. It would fit
Oh
the
my
like
God.
the look would fit Wake Me Up, but the vibes and the look fit Mr. Brightside 100%.
I was gonna say, have you ever seen the Mr. Brightside video? Because
Yes,
it's
the
not
music
too
video
dissimilar
totally
from
would
this. Oh my God, it would have been perfect. It is a shame. Like that will make me question whether or not God exists.
Bad news. Here's my next fact. He doesn't know. Science wins. Next letterbox review from Demi Adeyugbe. It is insane how relentlessly horny movies were right before 9/11. My man Bass directed this thing like the Tasmanian Devil on Cialis.
That is really funny and also like alarmingly true.
Sophie, someone. Wow, I love when Taron Egerton sang your song in Rocket Man. Me, yeah, but the original is better. Someone. Oh yeah, Elton John, obviously. Me, putting in my Moulin Rouge DVD. No, bitch, Ewan McGregor. And then I wrote this down. Notorious I can't say the name right. Notorious something. It's over, Anakin. I can reach the high notes. That was good enough. That had to stay.
Oh, that's great.
It's directed by Baz Luhrmann, who also directed Elvis, The Great Gatsby in Australia. The screenplay is
You
written by...
insist on saying Baz. Can you explain?
Is it Baz or Boz?
I always say Boz, but
Boz
what do I know?
Skaggs, Baz. I don't know. I'm going to keep
Okay,
mixing
I'm
it
just
up.
curious.
I'll do what I feel
Okay.
like.
Yeah.
The screenplay was written by Baz Luhrmann and Craig Pierce, who also wrote The Get Down, Charlie St. Cloud, and Elvis. Starring Natalie Kidman as Satine, who you might know from The Hours, Just Go With It, Aquaman, and Baby Girl. What?
Not Natalie Kidman.
I said,
Nicole Kidman.
oh, I said Natalie?
You said Natalie. I think I got
Because
to you.
it's
I think
the
you
same
also
movie.
agreed. Natalie Portman could have been good.
Oh my God. Ewan McGregor as Christian, who you might know from the Star Wars prequels, Trainspotting, and Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. John Leguizamo as Toulouse, who you might know from Ice Age, The Happening, and the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie. Jim Broadbent as Harold Zidler, who you might remember from Hot Fuzz and the Bridget Jones movies. And Richard Roxburgh as the Duke, who you might know from Van Helsing or Mission Impossible 2. Also, Kylie Minogue shows up as Tinkerbell for some reason, and she screams with Ozzy Osbourne's Scream. The movie was nominated at the Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Actress for Nicole Kidman, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, Best Makeup, and Best Sound, and won Academy Awards for Best Costume Design and Best Art Set Decoration.
Cool.
Fun facts?
Please. That's what I've been waiting for.
Nicole Kidman would cook for her kids in her trailer, dressed in her full costume.
Cute.
The necklace worn by Nicole Kidman was made of real diamonds and platinum and was the most expensive piece of jewelry ever specifically made for a film. The Stefano Centuri necklace was made with 1,308 diamonds, weighing a total of 134 carats, and was worth an estimated $1 million.
Damn.
That's a lot of budget for one piece of... Go to fucking, what was it, Charlie's, or what was the... Get some costume jewelry, for Christ's sake. It didn't have to be
for
real. In
Honestly.
Uncut Gems, they're not all uncut gems. Various tricks were used to make John Leguizamo's legs appear shorter. Some shots are of his stand-in, who was of the correct height, while in others he walked on his knees in special leg braces and wearing blue socks so that his lower legs could be digitally removed.
Yes.
Leguizamo did the entire climactic scene from a squatting position to give him greater mobility in his role. Consequently, he had to endure several weeks of physical therapy afterwards.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm like, dude, not worth it.
No, fuck that. Also, why couldn't he have just been a regular height person?
Or just get Peter Dinklage or Vern Troyer or Tony Cox. Like, get an actual little person then.
If they did this movie today, there's no chance it would be anybody but Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage really monopolized the little person roles out there, yeah.
He really did. It just goes to show you got to find your thing and you got to really beat it to death.
What do you mean? Is this thing being the little person?
Well, I'm just saying, like, you can't fight it, right? So you might as well embrace it.
Okay.
Like next time, don't mute yourself before you fart.
Oh, God. We've surely integrated enough that I can't cut any of this out now. So that's cool. When asked about his inspiration for the film, Baz Luhrmann remarked, "When I was in India researching Midsummer Night's Dream, we went to this huge ice cream picture palace to see a Bollywood movie. Here we were with 2,000 Indians watching a film in Hindi, and there was the lowest possible comedy, and then incredible drama and tragedy, and then breakout in songs, and it was 3.5 hours. We thought we had suddenly learned Hindi because we understood everything. We thought it was incredible how involved the audience were, how uncool they were, how their coolness had been ripped aside, and how they were united in this singular sharing of the story. The thrill of thinking, could we ever do that in the West? Could we ever get past the cerebral cool and perceived cool? It required this idea of comic tragedy. Could you make those switches? Fine in Shakespeare, low comedy, and then you die in 5 minutes. In Moulin Rouge, we went further. Our recognizable story, though Orphean in shape, is derived from Camille, La Boheme. Whether you know those texts or not, you recognize those patterns and character types." I just like how obsessed he was with, like, we're going to make the uncoolest shit you've ever seen, and we're going to make it cool.
Yeah. It's good.
Jim Broadbent based his performance on director Baz Luhrmann.
Wow, that's a dig.
I guess. Skipping that one. Catherine Zeta-Jones and Heath Ledger were contenders to play Satine and Christian. Other possible Christians: Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Ronan Keating.
Yeah, I'm happy with the one we got.
Other possible Satines: Kate Winslet, Hilary Swank, Renee Zellweger, Drew Barrymore, Natalie Mendoza, Charlene Spiteri, and Sophie Ellis-Bextor. Yeah.
Okay. Don't know who half of those people are.
Courtney Love also auditioned for Satine and allowed Baz Luhrmann to use Smells Like Teen Spirit in the opening sequence, a rare case of allowing her late husband Kurt Cobain's work to be used in film or TV.
Should she really have the jurisdiction over that when, like, Dave Grohl is still alive?
I think so, because Kurt Cobain's the one who wrote it.
Yeah, but, like, shouldn't like the next of kin of the music be a bandmate?
No.
Surely he didn't write it all alone. He might have written the words.
I don't know. I don't know for sure.
If you have any insight, listener, into something like this.
That is not a fact I brought, yeah.
I can't imagine that Kurt Cobain's ex-wife, who may or may not have killed him.
She did not kill him. Get out of here.
We don't know that, Dylan.
Just because you say it like Uncle Ronnie doesn't make it possibly true.
We do. That was a conspiracy theory, though, at the time, right?
I guess so.
That there was like all these handwriting people that were like, it's her handwriting on the note. I mean, obviously it wasn't, but like, anyway, I don't think she should be responsible for his music if other band members that were in Nirvana are still like, shouldn't, like, I wonder if when you play Smells Like Teen Spirit, if like the money goes to her and how much of it goes to these other people.
I do think it would be split amongst them. Yeah. Not like, I don't know if it's 50-50 or whatever, but yes, they would each get
Were
some.
they legally married at the time of his death?
I believe so.
It's so interesting. I'm surprised. I would have thought that the music would not, like, the next of kin of the band wouldn't be her. But anyway, whatever.
Courtney Love, actually, there's a bit more on her.
Oh.
Baz Luhrmann hired Marilyn Manson to sing Smells Like Teen Spirit for the movie.
Really?
Which made Courtney Love very angry because she and Marilyn Manson had a long-standing feud, which I didn't know there was bad blood there. I don't know. I could take or leave all of them. She evoked the performer approval clause in her contract, forcing production to find an unknown band to re-record the song 6 days before the movie's opening.
Wow. I wonder what their beef is about.
I don't know.
I wonder if they've squashed it.
Now, the placeholder name, because Duke of Monmouth was not his original name when they're first writing this thing. The placeholder name during writing the script was Count Von Groovy, which I'm so mad we did not get Count Von Groovy.
Count Von Groovy. Now that sounds like it would be from across the universe.
I'm not a very rhythmic man, but I just like my groove. Satine's sickness, though only referred to as consumption in the movie, is pulmonary what, Gab?
Tuberculosis. Did you not know that consumption and tuberculosis are the same thing?
I guess I did, but they still didn't say it. Did I not know that a courtesan was a whore? I mean, I do, but say it. Say it with your chest. Say it with your 10 toes down.
Fine.
And last one, Baz Luhrmann, for Ewan McGregor's last filming day, hired a band of bagpipers to come in and play him off the set.
Oh, that's nice. Nothing makes my skin crawl like a couple of bagpipes.
I can't remember what I heard it covering recently, but I heard a bagpipe cover of a song and I was like, you know what? This is kind of cool. Like,
No.
I don't know why.
Disagree, but okay. All right. Well, I think the time has come.
Well, Gab, you're right. The time has come for mail.
Dylan, just so you know, I am always right.
Is this like when you had that spiel about don't ever doubt you?
Yes. Don't ever doubt me.
Not so loud in my ears. Okay.
Sorry.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
This is on Little Big League. We got an email from our Canadian correspondent, Kyle.
Hello, Kyle.
Firstly, no, Gab, I did not lose power for just being Canadian. I thought maybe, this is just me talking, not Kyle, maybe our war with Canada and America had started.
Yeah.
I feel like me and Kyle are going to be like, you ever see that meme about Tony Hawk? Like when I have to kill Tony Hawk in the race war? I appreciate the hesitation. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Fuck, Gab. Well,
No idea.
I hope I can cut this out in a seamless way. Otherwise, this has all been for naught.
Oh, well.
As Kyle was saying, there was a massive ice storm 2 weeks ago by the time Dylan is reading this. With being Canadian, I do not have nearly the same affinity for baseball as the two of you. Given how many films about the sport have been covered, I was curious if you remember the first time you saw an MLB game live, assuming you have. What was the experience like, Kyle?
Assuming you have.
I do love
really
that.
funny.
I'm like, it's the fucking American pastime. It's like apple pie and heart attacks. I don't know.
And Big Macs. I don't think I remember my first baseball game because at one point when we lived in Levittown, we would go to Shea like every week. Like it would be a school night and we would go to Shea.
The earliest baseball game, remember, I don't actually remember anything. Like, I just know that these things happen.
You're Trump.
The earliest game I remember going to is I know we went to game 2 of the Subway Series World Series.
Yeah, I remember when you went to that and I was so mad.
Which is the game where Roger Clemens threw the bat at Mike Piazza.
I can't, and you don't remember it?
Oh, if only I could, Gab.
What a sad memory to have been washed away. Dylan, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and so I'm gonna run it by you. When you think of Ichiro Suzuki, now I understand that there's a connection here because of your team and whatever, but objectively, when you think of Ichiro Suzuki, what team do you imagine him playing? What jersey does your Ichiro wear?
Seattle Mariners.
You know, I get that, but
Who
for
are you
me,
about
it's the
to say?
Marlins.
The Marlins? What? I remember. Okay, because it wasn't the time I was working at MLB. My mind goes to him being 40 years old, pitching for the Marlins for like one inning. Because I just remember I was like, oh, fuck you, Ichiro. You've ruined my day. Like, I was like, you're busting my balls right now. And he was like, I always wanted to pitch. I was like, good for you.
Yep. I remember Ichiro because keep in mind the Mets are in the National League, and so we play the Marlins probably more than any other team. And so as a kid, we would go to Shea or Citi Field or whatever, whatever year it was. And he was a Marlin, so it was just like that's how I saw Ichiro. You know what I mean? I wasn't watching him as a Mariner.
I think you're remembering him being a Marlin for way longer than he was.
How long was he a Marlin? Look it up.
I do not think it was that long. Because he was a Mariner for a long time.
Yeah, that was his career. He was a Yankee too.
Yes, he was a Mariner from 2001 to 2012.
Yeah.
Then he was a Yankee for 2012 to 2014.
Okay.
And he was a Marlin from 2015 to 2019.
Oh, wow. I remember this as me being a kid.
You were not a kid watching Ichiro
No, this was recently. 2015 to 2019. That's crazy because
you
in
said
my
this
mind.
Is recently. That's 10 years ago, Gab.
Oh, God. That's disgusting. But 2015 was the year we went to the World Series. So I think I went to at least 30 games that year.
That would make sense, though. You might have seen Ichiro then.
Yeah, but definitely. I mean, even 16, I went to a bunch of games really ever since then. It's crazy to me. I thought he retired in like 2015. When did he retire?
2019 was his last season. And he just got into the Hall of Fame, I think it was over the last summer.
Yeah, it was most recently.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Well, that just goes to show that I have just as poor a memory as you, I guess.
No, because you have memories. You just placed them wrong. I just don't have
Yeah,
them.
that's true. All right, thank you for that. Okay, as you were.
Okay. And now we have a comment on Little Big League from our number one fan. You're my number one customer, Scotty Cameron. Scotty Cameron's novel for YouTube, he's very much just embraced it because I think on Kyle's podcast, the film Realist, Kyle's just started calling them. He's like, Scotty sent me another novel to read. So
Oh
I
boy.
appreciate that.
All right, I'll try not to interrupt. Just get through it. You got this.
My comments about the Star Wars special editions was me trying to find something I didn't know that was comparable to Gab not knowing that the Hulk was green. My instinct was to go to the fact that I forgot the T-1000 spoke in his normal Robert Patrick voice instead of only speaking when he pretended to be other people like John Connor's foster parents. It feels like a lot of people forgot that. So I just went to the fact I wasn't aware of how many Star Wars special editions there are. Anyone who's heard my guest appearance on the other Holopods shows, namely Phantom Optimist and Cape Corner. There's a lot I know about. There's a reason I'm the Jamie of this podcast. I can relate to Cab's experience of singing along to a song and coming to the realization I knew all of the lyrics. It wasn't a Lion King song. However, the other day I was playing Sempiternal by Bring Me the Horizon. I'm going to guess that he wrote that. Maybe that's the name. I don't know Bring Me the Horizon. Do you know Bring Me the Horizon?
No idea.
I'm vaguely aware that that's a band. He was listening to that song by Bring Me the Horizon, and I realized that I knew all the lyrics to most of the songs on the album. Not just the singles either. I guess when you hear a song enough times, you can just sing the lyrics verbatim when someone else sings it or is playing it. And he ends it by saying, "Let's go Royals."
Wow, that's a slap in the face to me. No. Let's go Mets.
We decline your Royals.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Did you watch the game today or no, you were at work?
I was working.
It was a real roller coaster, Dill.
Did they win?
No.
Well, that makes me
Came
sad.
close. We didn't.
Although this could
It
be in
was
the
bad.
future. By the time this comes out, maybe they did win.
Oh, maybe. That's a good point. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get back to whatever the fuck we're talking about.
Talking about Moulin Rouge and our
Great. Okay.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
Gab, being that Moulin Rouge was your movie, you'll go first with the verdicts.
Okay. Now I have to ask, are you solid in your decision?
You honestly, I'm not 100% yet. Not 100% yet.
Okay. So me neither.
Okay, well, you figure out where you're going, and I'll figure out where I'm going.
Okay, but I don't want to influence you is the thing.
Gab, say your verdict.
Okay, so I went into this with the feeling that I loved this movie. And, Corey and I had just gone to see The Last 5 Years on Broadway, which is my favorite musical of all time, and I sobbed from beginning to end, as I mentioned. And so coming into this, I was sort of like not comparing it to the last 5 years, but I did sort of have this feeling of like, oh, like another thing that I love my whole life. And I watched it and I was like, oh, this movie is like not great. It's a little long and a little bit like it's fun. Like I wouldn't turn it off, but I certainly don't love it as much as a lot of other films that we've covered. I don't think it held up to my recollection of it.
Okay.
And so, I mean, my gut, like after watching the movie, my gut was no. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with no, but I do think it's very interesting that you are also kind of on the fence. So I want to hear more about that.
So my feeling initially, I was like a hard no. You know what I mean? Going to the movie, I was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah,
Basically, it Smells Like Teen Spirit. I was like, I'm hard out on this.
sure.
But as it went on, I kind of liked it. And I think, honestly, most of that is two performances. The Duke and Ewan McGregor. Which I should pick a lane. Am I going actor or character names there? But Christian and the Duke or Ewan McGregor and Richard Roxburgh. And I think that those performances to me were so captivating on like how much one was just obsessed with this woman and just obsessed with the idea of like possessing her. And the other just felt this deep love for her. And Nicole Kidman was good, don't get me wrong. But the two of them were like the biggest thing swaying me towards movie to watch before you die. Visually also, I think it does a really good job. I think Ewan McGregor does such a good job. Him crying at the end, I was like, damn, I'm bought in. I'm bought in. This motherfucker
Yeah.
for real. He lost the love of his life, Which,
Yeah.
meanwhile, I think he's like 22 in the movie. I don't know. He's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
young.
yeah.
He's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But I think with The Great Gatsby, I think I ended up giving it like a very soft yes. And I think with this one, I'm going to give a very soft no. That it's not a bad movie. I didn't hate it. It's a little long, but there's good performances in there, and it does some cool things visually. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
As somebody who's not a
Agreed.
big musical person, I don't hate musicals, don't get me wrong. I do dislike jukebox musicals. I think it did a pretty good job if I'm at the end of the day saying, that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ewan McGregor's performance at the end when he is kind of going through those stages, like we said, the stages of grief where he's like mad at her and then he's like desperate and he's so upset and like whatever, is the pinnacle of that performance for me. Now, I do have a follow-up question. Since she had tuberculosis, which is transmittable, he
No,
will also
really?
be dead by morning. Yeah, you moron. Are you kidding? It's like a coughing disease. Like,
Oh, I
now
thought
we
you
both
meant
have it.
I thought you meant it was an STD. I was like, I didn't think so.
No,
Not just Christian. The whole Moulin Rouge is going to pieces out there.
Yeah, no. It's like you can spread it by coughing.
Do you think it got the Duke?
I think it got everybody, right? Like I imagine if we had like 5 years later, they're all dead.
Yeah, but that's like, to reference COVID, if you were just happened to be in the room with somebody with COVID, it doesn't mean guaranteed you got COVID. You know what I mean?
What if
Although
you
he
were-
was making
what if
out
you
with
were-
her.
Yeah, and they were having sex.
Yeah.
It's done. Like they're done.
Maybe they only did it doggy style and were never face to face. Maybe he's okay then.
I don't know. I mean, listen, nobody then lived past 30, but
These are the hard hitting questions you come to this podcast for.
yeah. I did Google that. Like tuberc is running rampant in that whorehouse.
It's not an instant death sentence either. Or was it at the time an instant death sentence, you think?
I mean, I think it was a lot like if you got
was pretty
dysentery on the
serious.
Oregon Trail. Yeah.
Well, now when you get dysentery, it's like nothing,
I had dysentery a couple days ago.
I almost had it during this podcast. I had to check. I made sure I'm
All
fine.
right. Yeah. All right, Dylan, say the things that we say.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to us at moviestowatchbeforeyouDie@gmail.com, or you can send us a voice note there. We will play it on the podcast. You can visit our link tree below for the Hall of Pods podcasting network that we are a member of, and all of our great podcasting buddies over there. We've got our link to our merch shop down there. If I forgot to delete it, there might still be a link of Randy Johnson destroying a bird. Maybe that's in the description.
Yes.
I don't remember. Because I read reviews on the last episode, review our podcast sometime. That'd be cool.
Yeah, just say something nice, you bunch of fucking weirdos.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way to get people to say nice things.
It's worked for me so far.
Fair enough.
Satine will be mine. It's not that I'm a jealous man. I just don't like other people touching my things!
This woman is yours now. I've paid my whore.